welcome back to the Affirmation Addict podcast. My name is Pyle, and I actually had a completely different episode planned for today. This is kind of coming out during the time of spring equinox, so I thought it'd be really fun to do I don't know, like a spring equinox ritual or kind of a reset, manifestation reset episode. However, I feel like this is actually a little bit deeper than where we're going, than where I was going to go. So I wanted to talk about the power of understanding your desires. I might have a little bit of a hard time articulating this because this came to me literally last night as I was trying to fall asleep. I was just reflecting and I wasn't able to fall asleep right away, and I was just getting a ton of hits about what my desires are and the differences and what it feels like to be in a state of desire. And I thought it would be interesting to just explore this topic more, explore our desires more, and give you a chance to kind of reflect on what is it that you want and why do we want it so bad? Because when we start to understand our desires more, we start to realize and start to understand that all of the different layers of manifestation that feel really tough to navigate, like feeling like you want something and then feeling okay when it's not here yet. And that detachment or surrender and letting go. I feel like one of the foundational things to do is actually understand your desire on a deeper level. So I don't really have an agenda. I literally have the quotes, like the little notes I have for myself, is the difference between two desires of mine, because I'm currently navigating through two desires and they are so different in energy that I feel like it's really helpful to call it out. Because one of them feels very deep rooted. It feels like a knowing. It's something I've been trying to manifest for a while. And it just feels like I am actually peeling back. Like I'm learning more and more about myself. I'm learning more about the world. I'm learning more about the nature of this desire the deeper I go. And I don't feel nearly as obsessive. I don't feel nearly as desperate. Of course, I want it, but it's not honestly out of like a constant top level fear. There's way less fear involved in this desire. Whereas the other desire I have, it's like, I want it instantly. I want it now. Um, I feel like I can't focus because it's not here sometimes. And it almost feels like it's kind of making me question my identity a little bit. And it feels very heavy, even though I want it so bad. And the more I want it, the worse it feels. And I haven't felt that type of energy in a really, really long time. And so I thought it would be really fun to talk about the difference between understanding our desires and how to get from that desperate energy to a little bit more of okay, this is a desire that I have. And the reason I find I'm using the word desire so much is because there is a chart of emotions. There's a chart of human emotions that identifies different frequencies, and everyone talks about manifestations as if they're desires. So that word desire is a really common phrase in the manifestation space. However, I didn't know how low frequency of a emotion desire actually was. Now, of course, I don't have the chart right up. I can look it up in a second. Um, but I think desire was right above fear. Like desire literally was fear and then it was desire. And that clicked something in my head where I was like, I feel like a lot of the times when we're trying to manifest something, we're manifesting out of that state of fear and that anxiety to the point where we're like, okay, to combat, to help us kind of avoid that fear or process through that fear or anxiety, I have this desire. So, an example, let's go soulmates, right? So some people have this super strong desire for a soulmate or even a specific person, but a lot of the times it's an underlying fear of what if I never find the right one, or what if I miss the person who's meant for me. It's almost like we try to force a specific desire into our life out of fear. And there's a very different form of desire that's almost like a knowing. And that's why when people say, when you're manifesting, have certainty that it's already here, the emotion and the frequency of certainty was like 8 to 10 steps higher than the emotional state of desire. And that just made so much sense for me because I was like, during the manifestation journey, how often are we actually circling fear, anxiety, and desire, which I was surprised was such a low frequency emotion, whereas certainty, knowing, appreciation, excitement, gratitude were all significantly higher and in the same realm. And that's where it's like, if you have a desire that feels like you just can't live without it and there's that super strong attachment, this is some of the stuff I want you to try and do is understand, where is it coming from. Now, you can totally transmute, you can always change the way you feel. So if you are feeling kind of that more desperate energy around a certain desire, it's possible to change it. It will change. You can change it. It takes obviously a little bit of work. However, it doesn't mean that it's the wrong desire. Sometimes we're just focusing a little bit on the wrong details through the desire. So the desire you have is very real. What you want in your heart is always meant for you, but what you actually are longing for, what you're actually wanting, might not be what you're actually trying to manifest. And what I mean by that, say you have a specific dream job that you want. Like for me, I really wanted to be a consultant. I wanted to be a consultant. I wanted to travel for my work, and I got that job. I wanted to be able to consult businesses, have freedom, have flexibility, have authority, got all of that. But I got that desire, hated that job. Why? Because I wasn't actually trying to become a consultant. I wanted to have independence in my work. I wanted to have flexibility to travel. I wanted to have freedom of time. So I was actually kind of manifesting the wrong thing. And this is very normal. We all do this. And it's not like it's a bad thing, because this opportunity taught me what it is that I actually wanted. But if you're on the manifestation journey and say you work so hard to manifest something and it doesn't actually serve you that much, then it's very natural to be like, well, why would I manifest in the first place? And that's what I want to help you avoid, because manifestation is one of those things where it is natural for you to have a desire. It is natural for you to have a calling to experience something. But sometimes through the filtering, through the kind of analysis of our subconscious mind, we identify the wrong thing. Maybe you're actually identifying and looking for a feeling, but you're putting an object to that feeling to deliver that feeling. Do you see the difference? Because oftentimes we're trying to manifest a job or a specific home or a soulmate, or I don't know, maybe like a certain level of health, whatever that is. We try to manifest these kind of specific objects that are very tangible, very trackable in our physical world. We can really see them with our eyes, but actually, we want those things because of the feeling that we think they're going to give us. And a really good way to get an indicator of if your desire is teetering on a little bit more fear based or a little bit more certainty based is to know how you feel. Learn how you're feeling along the manifestation journey. Do you feel desperate? Do you feel like you need this in your life right this second? Or do you feel kind of inspired by it, by the potential of it? And do you feel like, wow, I just know that's meant for me. I have no idea how it's going to happen, but I just have a really good feeling that this is what's meant for me. Those are two really different versions of having a desire for something. And I am kind of battling two very different energies in desires, which I haven't had in a long time, where one desire is like this calm, something I've wanted for a really long time. And I don't feel that anxiety and stress around it, even though I don't have any evidence that it's here, but I don't have any stress around it coming into my life. Versus the other thing, it is like clingy girlfriend status, which is something I can say because I was a clingy girlfriend back in the day, but it's like obsessive. It's trying to figure out the quick fix. It's trying to research everything and understand everything about the topic and learn every piece of information I can learn about it to see if it can come in any quicker because I just want it that bad. That is very fear, anxiety, kind of fulfilling a need that we're actually not understanding. So it's not a bad thing if you are experiencing that, but what it is an invitation for you to go deeper. It's an invitation for you to understand your desire on a little bit of a deeper level and ask yourself, why is this desire so important to me? What am I so scared of that will happen or won't happen if I don't get this desire? What is riding on the desire? What pressure am I putting on this desire? And asking yourself those questions in a journal can give you so much insight. Don't intellectually think about this. You can, but I really recommend grabbing your journal because your hands won't lie to you versus your brain will sometimes try and outsmart you. Your The power of pen to paper, it's much harder for you to lie to yourself because you start to be more honest with yourself versus when you're thinking, we try and kind of think our way through things. We use our intellect to navigate and outsmart the manifestation journey, whereas I want you to get really reflective and look at, what is it that I actually am so nervous that this manifestation is riding on? Because we all talk about detachment, but changing your energy from desperate to detached is probably one of the biggest keys. And getting yourself to the detached state means acknowledging where the desperate energy is coming from. And asking good questions is probably one of the best tools you can do. Is ask yourself, what is riding on it? Why do I feel so attached to this? And then once you get that information, you can start to ask yourself, is this actually true? I'm alive and I'm breathing right here and right now. So by default, I am okay without this desire. Sure, consciously, and if I'm thinking about my future, it doesn't feel okay. But looking at the facts, looking at the evidence, I am alive and breathing right now while this desire isn't here. So this desire can only be an amplifier. It can never take away from me. And right now, we're letting it take away. We're letting it take away our peace. But what we want it to do is allow it to invite more peace and allow it to invite more of the feelings that we think it's going to involve. Because we get super desperate the more specific we are, usually. We're a little bit more desperate when we're extra specific, when we're like, this is who my soulmate is, or this is the dream job I want. And being specific is beautiful, I think, but being specific on what details versus who the person is or what the job title is, more on being specific on the feelings that you want out of those specifics. Because you can have a specific, I'm not saying don't be a specific manifester. I think everyone can be if you want to be, but the more specific you are, the more opportunities of attachment it creates. So once you know your specifics, ask yourself, what do I feel like those specifics are going to actually give me? You want a desire because you think it's going to make your life better in some way or form. So how is it going to make your life better? Once you can admit to yourself why you think and in what ways you think it's going to make your life better, you're actually going to be able to build yourself a little bit of a map and connect the dots from where you are to where you want to be. You can stop focusing as much on, where is the specific desire, or why aren't they texting me back, or why do I not see my income going up? And you can actually start to go into, what is it that I want to feel through a text back? Do you want to feel seen or validated? What do I want to feel with my income going up? Do I want to feel more successful or more accomplished? Then you can start actually, through the laws of different emotions, choosing how you feel, and you can actually get yourself to a vibrational state that matches your desire. And then you will shift your energy from desperate to detached because you already get to feel the things that you think that desire is going to make you feel. And by law of attraction, the more you can feel the things that you think your desire is going to make you feel, the more and more likely that that desire can actually start to flow into your life and start to come through. So I know this is a little bit of a ramble, but to kind of recap, understand that there are two states of desire. There's one state that's very fear based, and there's one state that is very certainty based. And it's such a subtle difference, and it takes a lot of honesty with yourself, as does the entire manifestation journey. It takes you being willing to call yourself out. It takes you willing to admit that maybe you were focusing a little bit more on the fear, and you don't have to judge yourself. No one is judging you here. We're only sharing this information to help you get to where you want to be in a little bit of a less resistance way. Because honestly, what's meant for you will never miss you. And I know that is so hard to believe if you're in that state of feeling like, where the heck is my desire? And I will do anything to get it. But I don't want you to act from that way, because I know how emotionally up and down and draining and exhausting that can feel. And instead, what I really, really want you to do is see how you can slowly shift your energy from desperate to detached by understanding your desires. Because the more you can understand and be honest about what your desires are and why they're in your heart, the more they won't be based in fear and anxiety, and the more they'll be rooted in that knowing and that truth and that inner authenticity of why you specifically want this desire. It is a super subtle shift. You can't see it. It is not tangible. It's very, very internal. But I really encourage you to grab your journal and work through some of these questions because it has changed the game for me. And just so you know, the moment I did do this, both of those desires actually showed up. The super desperate energy one did show up the moment I chose to transmute my energy. And the one that I was so certain about came up in the most effortless way. So both can manifest, but the more and more that you get out of that desperate state, the more and more you'll enjoy the process, and the easier and easier manifestation will start to feel to build up your confidence along the entire journey as you continue manifesting. So I hope this episode was helpful. It was totally a ramble, but please let me know if this resonated for you. And if you need more help kind of going through this type of mindful and very intentional manifestation journey, this is what I take you through in my step-by-step guide. So if you're curious about it, I will link it in the show notes. It's a one-time purchase, but it's a packed guide where I walk you through the entire journey and give you tools to manage different emotions, different things that come up along the journey. So check that out if you're interested, but please try out the journaling. And I really, really hope this episode resonated with you. Bye. I'll talk to you soon.